got body rough, don't give a fuck about none. You might fuck my lord, you might call my lord. Love gon' set me up, bitch gon' set me up. Don't retaliate.
Yo, what's going on? This is Dat Boy Fred. Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be ranking all the One Piece arcs. Now, One Piece for me is one of my favorite animes, arguably number one, right next to Dragon Ball Z. Like, they're really neck and neck. And you know, One Piece is, like I said, an amazing anime, and it's really hard to get people into, especially since it's over 970 episodes right now. But with that many episodes comes a lot of arcs, good and bad. And today's video, that's what we're going to be mainly going over. We're going to be ranking them mostly on impact and a little bit on my own personal feelings. But with that out the way, let's get straight into the video. Starting off with Drum Island, we're going to go with a nice D tier because this arc is not very good. The only good thing about it is Chopper's backstory, which is actually really touching and nice. But other than that, the main villain, Wapol, like, he was not intimidating in the slightest. It was never a doubt in my mind that Luffy would not wash him the second he came in contact with him. And other than that, this island just doesn't have much to say about it. Now, Alabaster's completely different story. It's a complete S tier, no question in my mind. Alabaster introduced us to quite a lot and gave us a lot more. It gave us our first real fight against a villain that we truly did not know if Luffy could not beat. And to be truthful, he did lose the first two times. And one of those times I really thought he was about to die until someone pulled him out of some sand that Crocodile had buried him in. And we also got to learn about the warlords a little bit more. We got to learn about the fact that Crocodile was a low gear fruit user. We got to have all the Straw Hats have mostly their own separate fights, so they got some needed character development for all of them. Mainly Zoro, Luffy, and even Nami has some nice development. But all around, that was an amazing arc. Now, Jaya and Skypiea, I'm going to put those next to each other because they were basically a joint arc. Now, Jaya was a pretty solid arc. It introduced us into Bellamy, Blackbeard, and Don Flamingo. Two of those who were actually a lot more important later on in the story. And also it gave us a really fire moment being Luffy literally sleeping Bellamy. And that's all I can really say about Jaya. Now Skypiea, I really can't say nothing good or bad. That's why I put it at B tier. Because the Enel versus Luffy fight is really good. I like it. But the rest of the arc, like, there were some nice fights in there. Like, I really enjoyed Chopper's fight versus, I can't think of the dude's name right off the top of my head. But Chopper had an amazing fight in there. I really enjoyed that for him. But other than that, I mean, Skypiea was a solid arc all around. Like, it doesn't have too many flaws. Now, Long Ring Island is a complete D tier. Now, if it was based off entertainment, this would be an S tier. Because the arc, I won't lie, it's hilarious. It's very entertaining. We got to see Afro Luffy. We got to see a nice little interesting arc. But in terms of, like, was it truly needed? Like, no, it was not a very good arc in that aspect. But entertainment wise, like I said, it's a solid one. Now we're gonna move on to Water 7, which I believe is a B tier. Water 7 is a very nice arc. It introduces us into a future member of the Straw Hat Pirates being Frankie. It also introduces us into the CP9, a secret division. Well, I wouldn't say secret division, but a division in the world government. And we also get to learn about a little bit more, but I just can't get into all of it right now because most of it follows up with Enies Lobby, which is the, in my opinion, the better version of Alabaster, because it basically takes Alabaster and just makes all the Straw Hats fights way better, in my opinion. Like, in this, Enies Lobby was absolutely amazing. Like, this arc is straight hands, like, the entire time. Like, there's a little talking in here, but once you get from past Water 7 and into Enies Lobby, it's straight hands the whole time. We got to see Monster Chopper, second gear Luffy, third gear Luffy, the 9 sword style from Zoro. We got to see Sanji use Diablo Jambo for the first time. We got to see Nami have another fight again. We got to see just so much. It was such a good arc all around. Now, post Enies Lobby, I would say is a C tier. I mean, it really had nothing going for it. Well, I wouldn't say that. Okay, that's a bad explanation. It had something going for it. Okay, let me rephrase that. It didn't have nothing too much of impact. it had important stuff in it, learning about Luffy's grandfather and father, who were two well-known names around the world, being Monkey D. Garp, his grandfather, hero of the Marine, and Monkey D. Dragon, the leader of the Revolutionary Army, also known as the world's most wanted man. And also we got to learn about the 4 emperors and a little bit else, but posing in this lobby was okay. Now Thriller Bark, I am really debating about putting this in D tier because it definitely deserves to be in D tier. But the fact that Kuma showed up and gave us that Zoro moment is truly the only thing that's saving us from putting it in D. And I swear to you not, if he did not show up, it would have been an F tier if it was on this list, I swear. But I have nothing to say about Thriller Bark. It's bad. Kuma saved this whole arc. The villain's bad. The arc really doesn't even pick up until the Straw Hats decide to fight Oars. Well, not decide, but when they fight Oars. After that, I mean, the arc becomes okay. But Gecko Moria's a bad villain. You know, everything's about that arc's pretty bad if you ask me. Now, Sabati is a very good arc. Sabati has a lot in it. It's the last stage before you can technically get into the new world. You need to go to Fishman Island to get it, but you need to get to Sabati first. Now, Sabati is nice for a lot of reasons. Number one, we got to see the other supernovas, also known as the Worst Generation, who we knew about. Actually, we just learned about them, I believe, in this arc, and we knew that Luffy and Zoro were 2 of them, and we had to meet the rest of them. Some of them being names that were, well, really later on in One Piece, a lot of their names became well known to us as viewers, at least, meaning especially Law, Kid, Calpone, and a few others, but mainly those. And Sabati also introduced us to our second admiral, being Kizaru, and it also showed us these world nobles, who I'm pretty sure everyone who's ever touched One Piece and got up at least to this point are probably their least favorite characters. The world nobles are disgusting people, and this arc just showed us how nasty they can really be. Now, Romance Dawn it's the first arc of One Piece, but it's not the first arc of One Piece, because it's basically the way that One Piece started. It was setting up Luffy's character, setting up the reason he's doing what he's doing, and his goals from here on out. Shanks gives him the pirate hat that was also Goldie Rogers, and it's a very nice little arc put together. It's nothing bad I can say about it, really. Now, Amazon Lily, I will say something bad. This arc is dog water in my opinion. It has nothing to offer to us. The only relevant thing that came out of this arc is the fact that we knew a war arc was about to come. And if that wasn't there, this arc is completely, utterly useless. Like, I mean, Boa Hancock's cool. You know, that's another warlord. I mean, she's okay. But other than that, I mean, this island doesn't have much to offer. Now, Impel Down is a S tier. I'm sorry, not a S tier. My mistake. It is an A tier in my opinion. Impel Down is a really good arc. It shows us a lot of old villains. It shows us a lot of new faces. And all around a really nice arc. It shows us Blackbeard actually coming back, this time as a warlord. This may be our first time seeing him again, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, like, it's a really nice arc all around. We get to meet this warden that, in my opinion, he should have got more screen time. I mean, man straight bodied the entire Blackbeard pirate crew in like 3 seconds. And he really doo-dooed on Luffy too. And we also got to meet all the other people who were all across the pirate world. We got to meet a lot of people, and it was just a really nice arc all around. Now, Marineford itself is the sequel of Impel Down, and Marineford is S tier. Marineford is my favorite arc in the entire show. I tend to have a soft spot for war arcs, and this one did not disappoint. It's absolutely amazing. You got to see all the warlords, all 3 admirals. You got to see the so-called strongest man in the world, Whitebeard, one of my favorite characters. You got to see the legendary Sengoku. You got to see all these people in one place fighting just for the sake of Ace. Now, some people were there for different reasons, but you know, the majority of the people were fighting either to kill them or to get them back. And it was just an all-around amazing arc. Like, the fights were good, the whole story was there, the plot twists were there. Everything was really good about the Marineford war arc, so I have nothing bad to say. Now, post-war is really, like, I actually have nothing to say about this one. It's not bad. It's not top tier. It's okay. You know, we get to see Rayleigh show up again. We also get to see Luffy and Rayleigh and Jinbei all go back into Marineford, and that's probably the best thing that happened out of this. Now, Return to Sabaody, I also feel is an A tier show. Lord, what am I talking about? I feel like it's an A tier arc. Now, Return to Sabaody, I would debate that it's not as good as the original, in my opinion. The original Sabaody is a little bit better, but the Return to Sabaody is really nice too, because we get to finally see all the Straw Hats come back together, get on the Sunny, and you know, everybody show off. Well, they haven't showed off their new powers just yet. I'm moving a little fast, but everyone shows off, you know, just how they look, and we get to see a tad bit of how Luffy has improved, especially when he first shows up and uses his Conquer Haki on the fake Straw Hats. It's a very nice arc. It's very entertaining. Now, Fishman Island, man. I'm gonna give it a C tier. Fishman Island, because of how nice Fishman Island looks, it's a really cool scenery to look at. And plus, Jinbei's there, and Jinbei's one of my favorite characters. But all around Fishman Island, like on the impact of the story, they needed to come there. But necessarily how good the arc was, I would not say it was that good, because the villain in that is probably the worst in all of One Piece. Hardy Jones is a really bad villain. The man was just taking steroids to get stronger, if I'm gonna be real. It was nothing. It was nothing too good about all the fighting in there. The only good thing that came out of it was all the Straw Hats showing truly what they had learned over their 2 years of training. Now, Punk Hazard is also a C tier. Punk Hazard is not the worst arc, but it's not like a really good one neither, because the only good thing that I can say about Punk Hazard, and I can say the main point of it was, for me, was to show Law off. Like that was the legit like only thing I can see about Punk Hazard being relevant is Law. Law is the only thing that made that arc relevant. If he was not there, this arc would not be like in the slightest relevant. And also, we got to see Aokiji after the war arc, and we had to see him after he had left the Marines. That was a cool little thing at the end, but other than that, that's it about that. Now, Dressrosa, if it was not so long, it would have been an S tier for me, because I did enjoy it. But it is an A tier because of how long it was, and also the backstories. The amount of backstories and the amount of repeats, especially watching this. I don't know how bad it was in the manga, because I did not check. But Dressrosa in the anime, the amount of backstories we got was absolutely ridiculous. Now, some of them were needed, some of them were nice. Like Law and Don Flamingos were nice, those were needed. But Rebecca and all that, like, no one really cares. But nonetheless, we got to see Gear 4 Luffy for the first time. We got to see some amazing fighting from him and Don Flamingo. It was really a good arc, if I'm gonna be honest. It was not as bad as some people make it seem. Now, Zoo is also going to be an A tier for me. And I feel Zoo is an A tier because out of all these arcs, it's the most different. Well, besides Fishman Island. I feel like it's Fishman Island, but a little bit better. Because nobody on this island is human except for the Straw Hats and Kinmon and who else was there? Law and Kanjuro. Those were the only people there who were human. So everybody else here was a mink, which was known as just an animal that could talk. And it was a very interesting island. It was on the back of an elephant. Everything about it was interesting, and it had me drawn the whole time. And I can say nothing bad about Zoo. It was a really nice arc. Now, Whole Cake Island is also an A tier. I feel Katakuri versus Luffy, probably my #1 fight in this show. It was really good, and it was such a good fight that the fight wasn't even necessarily based all around strength. It was about so much more, because we all know in that fight Luffy was heavily outmatched. He should not have won, but it was something that I might go into a video on later. I might make a video about it, that made Luffy just he made it through. He truly made it through. Now, the only dislike I have about this island is Big Mom herself. I truly do not like her character. At least in this arc. In the Wano arc, she's a little bit better, but in this arc, she's, especially the ending, she's really annoying. Like, the whole time she was trying to get off the wedding cake, watching that in the anime was stressful, because every 2 seconds you're hearing her scream wedding cake in this annoying voice, and it was so painful to watch and listen to. But that's probably the only bad thing I can truly say about this arc. Now, Orange Town was a pretty bad arc. It was the first arc with Luffy, Zoro, and Nami. Well, they really met Nami there, but it was the first arc with Luffy and Zoro, let's say that. And we met Buggy. Now, Buggy as a character, like later on in the show, isn't as bad, but here he was just really annoying and not so much of a really good villain. But I mean, it's a first real arc, I guess, so it wasn't that good. Now, the Revity arc I will put at a C, only because like the Revity arc had importance, but it was not a very entertaining arc. Like, there's stuff that happened in the Revity arc that we do not know the outcome of, and that's the only reason it's C tier and not anything higher. Now, the Wano country, Wano village, oh my god, what am I talking about? Now, Wano in general is a A tier, and I feel like once Wano finishes, it will be an S tier, because Wano is really amazing in the manga and anime, because I have caught up on both. And Wano right now, they're doing the best job they have ever done when it comes to animating it. The last episode where I'm watching, 971, was amazing, especially the ending. It was animated amazingly. Whitebeard versus Black. Oh my god, Whitebeard versus Roger was amazing. And everything about Wano right now is a really good arc. It has backstory. It has so much. It has the Straw Hats coming back together, everybody meeting up from being separated from Whole Cake Island and Zoo. And it's just really nice. I really enjoy the backstories the most, especially Roger and Whitebeard's backstory, more than anything. And of course, Odin is the reason before that. And Surf Village Usopp is probably the worst arc in this entire show. I'm not going to get into very much of this. It's a really bad arc. It's so boring. I borderline almost stopped watching One Piece because this arc was this bad, but I bear through it because I truly wanted to get through this entire anime. Now, Barton, the arc we met Sanji, I'll put it at a B tier. This arc is not bad whatsoever. Of course, we got introduced to Sanji, and we also got introduced to Mihawk. That's the only thing that's keeping this from a C tier, is Mihawk. Mihawk was amazing, man. Showing up, known as the world's greatest swordsman, Mihawk was amazing, man. There's nothing bad I can truly say about this arc. Alright, now next we're going to Arlong Park. Arlong Park, I would say, is an S tier as well. Because Arlong Park, oh my god, it's a really good arc. Like, the backstory for Nami is honestly kind of heartbreaking. Everything that happened to them, it's truly heartbreaking. It's actually a really nice arc. And I've always told people, Arlong arc is around episode, I want to say 60 or something. It's the last episode before you get out of the East Blue saga. It's the last arc, at least. And if you make it to this and you enjoy this, I feel like One Piece might be for you. But if you get to this and you don't enjoy it, then One Piece not for you. But this arc is absolutely amazing. It has, in my opinion, one of my favorite fights, Arlong versus Luffy. Once again, it's like a lesser version of Alabaster in its lobby, where it has Usopp, Sanji, and Zoro all go fight their own fights, and it's really, really nice. Like, I just love arcs when all the Straw Hats have their own individual fights. Now, Logtown is a C. The only thing keeping it from a D, in my opinion, is mainly because Smoker and Dragon and a few other people really showed up that made this arc at least a little bit interesting. And also, my favorite moment in this arc was at least when Luffy was up top on the execution platform where Roger died. That was a really nice moment. Now, the Reverse Mountain, I will say this is a D tier, because this arc truly had not too much to it. Like, the only reason it's really like even an arc is because it was the arc that introduced us to Vivi, which will lead us through Drum Island, lead us through a few more islands, and all end up into Alabaster. That's the only reason that one is even the slightest relevant. Now, Whiskey Peak, I will put at a C. Whiskey Peak is a very solid arc for a C at least. It has the only thing that's keeping it from a D. I know I keep saying that, please excuse me for that, but the only thing keeping it from a D is the fact that Luffy and Zoro fought. I found that really entertaining and funny. And all around this village, this arc was okay. It was pretty okay. It was nothing too bad about it, but it was kind of boring, so I guess that was what was bad about it. Now, to finish off this list, we have Little Garden. Little Garden, I would say, is a D. Little Garden it's an interesting arc, but it's not a very entertaining arc. You get to learn about these two giants that have been fighting for over 100 years and have had duels for the entire time. And this is also another one of the arcs that led up to Alabaster, and we got to run into a few more of Crocodile's underling, being Mr. 3 being the main one we ran into, and a few other ones. But with that out the way and this list being complete, that's going to conclude this video right here. I hope you guys enjoy. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.